had his worst game since he has started. His record as a starter is 4-2. Who will start for the Baltimore Colts? We understand now it will be Mark Herman, number 9. Frank Kush, the head coach, has been, you know, he's been rather secretive, and it's not official yet, but he does have his helmet on, and Pagel has a cap on.
Even in the pregame warm-ups, Charlie, Pagel was working. Pagel, as you see, number 18 with the baseball cap, was working with the first unit. So Frank Kush was really throwing us off.
Uwe von Schamann kicks it away, and we are underway. This is Larry Anderson on the return. Anderson just coming off of the injured reserve list. He returns to the 15-yard line where Vince Heflin makes the tackle. So offensively for the Baltimore Colts, it will be, you know, Pagel or Herman. Well, it's going to be Herman. Great running backs, Dickey and McMillan.
Receivers, Booza is hurt out for the year. Butler, the big play man, gains a start. He can make some big plays.
The offensive line for the Colts in white, that is the rookie Chris Hinton. He, of course, involved in the Elway trade, the #1 choice of Denver, played his collegiate ball at Northwestern. So Baltimore starts the dance from the 15-yard line. And they'll probably start it on the ground. And they do. Curtis Dickey. Bob Baumhauer makes the tackle a couple of yards to the 17, second down and 8. Dolphin defense, the front three, led by Doug Betters with 15 sacks, tied for first in the National Football League with Fred Dean. Dean tied him because Dean last week for the 49ers had 6 sacks.
Good linebackers. A.J. Dewey, the bouncing ball would be moving around. Brzezinski, the leading tackler.
In the secondary, a very smart secondary, but they need help. They need pressure from the line and linebacker. Second down and 8 for the Colts. Ball at their own 17-yard line. Randy McMillan. And McMillan has the first down outside the 30 to the 31-yard line, gain of 14. Lyle Blackwood with the stop for Miami. No surprises so far from Baltimore.
Good look from the end zone. McMillan straight blocking by Hinton, 75. McMillan sees the way the defensive man is going, lowers his head, gets some yardage. Big play coming out of the hole. First down for the Colts.
The Colts at their own 31-yard line. Mark Herman, the quarterback. Randy McMillan. McMillan to the 35, a gain of 4. It will be second down and 6. Between Dickey and McMillan, they account for 51% of the offense for the Baltimore Colts. Betters and Camper for the defense.
Here's Betters, 75, controlling his man, throws him aside, gets a little piece of it. Betters having a great year, Charlie, both against the run and the pass.
For the Colts, number 9, Mark Herman, his first start for Baltimore. Played the second half last week, had a start at Denver, so this is his second start in the NFL. Second and 6. Colts at their own 35. Opening drive of the ball game. Here's Curtis Dickey. Dickey with that great world-class speed out of bounds at the 39-yard line, so he has 4. To be third down, still a couple. Judson bumped him out. And when you talk about world-class speed, they toss that around in the National Football League, but he is a tremendous sprinter, and officially a 10.05 in the 100-meter.
Glenn Blackwood was saying earlier in the week that if Dickey gets through the line and gets a step on you, you're just going to see the back of him because you're not going to catch him. But this is the thing the Colts like to do, control the ball game with their running attack, and they're doing it here today.
And that's what you said at the top of the telecast, control the clock right from opening kickoff. They want to keep the Dolphin offense off of the field. Here's McMillan. And he just continues the grind to the 45-yard line. Needed 2, he got 6, and he has the first down. Charles Bowser with the tackle.
Charlie, let's go back to the decision. We didn't know until Mark Herman ran onto the field that it was going to be Herman and not Pagel. Herman can hand off as well as Pagel. They can still get their running game going, but yet with Herman in the ball game, he is the passer and the thrower, and it gives them another dimension, something they haven't used yet, but I'm sure we'll see a lot of it today.
McMillan, 24 yards rushing and 3 carries. First down, Colts at their own 45. Dickey in motion. Williams is in replacing McMillan for a breather. Pass is complete to Tracy Porter. And Porter is out of bounds just past the 50-yard line. A gain of 5. Second down 5. William Judson was for the defense. Now, in the pregame warm-ups, it was Pagel who was taking the snaps.
Exactly, and Frank Kush, I guess, wanted to keep the Dolphins off balance. They're going to find out sooner or later, and they have. That was a good call by Zeke Brodkowski, the offensive coordinator. A simple pass to get Mark Herman on the right track offensively as far as throwing the ball. Now he feels pretty good. The offensive line feels good. They've got their offense moving.
2nd and 5. McMillan back in the ball game. See where they spotted. It's a yard, maybe 2 on the play. Bob Baumhauer with the tackle.
Here's a good look at A.J. Dewey fighting off the block of Ben Utt. 64 does a pretty good job, does Utt. A.J. has missed a couple of the games this year, Charlie. He had a groin pull, and he's just getting back. He's played a couple of games. Ernie Roan missed a couple of games. The entire defense has not been together as a unit. They're just getting back together. They're looking for big things from him today and the rest of the season.
3rd down and a long 3, about 3.5. Looping pass is intercepted. It is William Judson with the interception. First turnover of the ball game. Porter, the intended receiver, will take a timeout. 11:13 left to go, first quarter. Here is the interception, and we'll be back as action continues at the Orange Bowl. Temperature in the 80s. It has been drizzling on and off. We'll be back in a moment. Miami's ball, first down at their own 37-yard line. And Marino will open up throwing. He has pressure, screen. It's complete to Tony Nathan. From the 37 to the 39, a gain of 2. Vernon Maxwell with the tackle. It'll be 2nd down and 8. Dan Marino, of course, the quarterback. He's a rookie. Nathan and Franklin also in the backfield.
Duper is the big play man. They call him Super Duper. He came in the same time as Dan Marino and has been making big plays along with Dan Marino.
Offensive line for the Dolphins. At right tackle at the bottom of the screen, 68 is Eric Laxo. Has a knee problem. Could be replaced by Cleveland Green. We'll be watching for that. 2nd and 8, Miami. Overstreet comes in. Nathan comes out for this play. It is Franklin to the 43, gain of 4. So it'll be 3rd down and 4. And we'll look at the defense of the Colts.
69 is Wisniewski, the leading tackler for the Colts. Good surge by the Dolphins. Defensive line just stacking them up. Charlie, it was interesting there. We saw both wide receivers for the Dolphins go to the left side, bringing both cornerbacks over there. The Dolphins had David Overstreet shifting out a one-on-one on the strong safety, Jeff Delaney. That's a mismatch. We'll look for that a little bit later.
So they could be setting something up for later in the ball game. Here's Marino with pressure, and they're going to rule it incomplete. Maxwell tried to pick off the interception. Rose, the intended receiver. Defensively in the standard 3-4 set, rookies again in the white. Leo Wisniewski, the nose tackle, leading tackler for the Colts.
Krause and Cooks are first-round draft choice, but Maxwell is the big play. 6 forced fumbles and leads the team in sacks. Change
at right cornerback, Tate Randall for Derek Hatchett. Hatchett did not make the trip. Reggie Roby will be punting, and Kendall Williams is the punt returner. And we're going to see a great battle between these two kickers. Ron Stark for the Colts. Fumble at the 16-yard line, a scramble for it. And Kendall may have recovered his own fumble, 42 yards, and 4.5 seconds to hang time. 9:35, that is the time remaining. We're in the first quarter. We have no score as we look at Kendall Williams from Arizona State, a free agent scrambling for the football. First year, just over the shoulder of Don Strock. We said that Baltimore has to control the clock. Well, in the first 2 drives, Baltimore had the ball almost 3.5 minutes. Miami just over a minute and a half. Curtis Dickey, the ball carrier from the 19 to the 21. It'll be 2nd down. Let's go back to Mark Herman's interception.
Charlie, this was a poorly designed route. The two receivers were not running good routes, and the throw, as you can see, is very wobbly. It took too long to get there. Even with bad routes, he should have thrown it outside and away. That way, it wouldn't have been intercepted. But second pass of Mark Herman is picked off.
William Judson with the interception. Now Baltimore again. 2nd and 8 from their own 21-yard line. No score with 9 minutes and counting. We're in the first quarter. Sun ducking in and out behind the clouds. McMillan drops it. And that's a very safe, very sure pass.
The Colts are running very safe and very sure passes in the first 2 series of plays, and it's not surprising. They're away from home. They're a very young football team, and Frank Kush wants to get them started on the right foot, and you can't blame him for that. Don Shula did the same thing with Marino. The first play of the game was a pass, but it was an easy pass. It was a screen pass.
3 wide receivers for the Colts. The Colts are on the road. Their record on the road, though, is excellent, 4-1. Kozlowski and Langford come in, 6 in the secondary for the Dolphins. They look for the throw here, 3rd and 8. On the year, Herman has completed 9 of 17 prior to this game. That was all last week. Curtis Dickey, big play. Dickey to the 44-yard line of Miami. First down, 35 yards on the pass.
Mark Herman feels a lot better now. Here we'll see Dickey, who is an excellent receiver, was on the line of scrimmage. Kozlowski, number 40, with the coverage, has a bad ankle, couldn't stay with him that time. The Bruise brothers, Lyle Blackwood, 42, trying to strip him of the ball.
Big play, 35 yards, first down. Colts just inside the Dolphin 45. Dickey comes out for a breather. Alvin Moore replaces him. And Alvin Moore, the rookie from Arizona State, gets the call. And he has a couple of yards to the 42-yard line, so it'll be 2nd down and 8 when we come back. Now let's go to New York City. And they're out in front just the way they're supposed to be. Colts again staying on the ground. Flag is down. Alvin Moore, the ball carrier. Ernie Roan with the tackle, and we were isolated on Bob Baumauer, nose tackle for the Dolphins.
Take a look at Ray Donaldson, 53, one of your better centers in the National Football League, moving Baumauer off. Baumauer tries to get a piece, doesn't get it. The ball comes out late.
And Bob, even though they don't match up against each other, 2 outstanding centers in this ballgame. Dwight Stevenson for the Dolphins, Ray Donaldson for the Colts, and a lot of good centers in the NFL.
Number 75, offense, still 2nd down.
Holding on the rookie Chris Hinton.
There are a lot of fine centers in the NFL, Charlie, and 2 of them, as you mentioned, are playing here today. Dwight Stevenson for the Dolphins, Ray Donaldson for the Baltimore Colts. Both came out 3 years ago. Shula wanted a center, and Stevenson was the 3rd one of the 3 that he wanted. Jim Richer, the guard now for the Buffalo Bills, was a center at North Carolina State. 3 fine centers.
2nd down, 14. The ball at the Miami 48-yard line. Herman to throw. High and wobbly. Tracy Porter, the intended receiver. So we've seen kind of a Jekyll and Hyde from the throwing arm of Herman.
That was a very poor throw. Mark Herman knows that he threw it way over his head. Herman's about 6'4", 6'5", and I think he thought the receiver may be that tall too. Here we see Porter. He starts downfield and stops. Now, if the corner comes up to cover him, Herman will throw the ball downfield. As you can see, he threw it to Porter, but he thought he was about 6'5".
Raiders 7, Buffalo nothing.
Frank Hawkins, a 2-yard run for the Raiders, puts them ahead midway through the first quarter.
Of course, Buffalo tied with Miami for the lead in the East. Herman 2 of 5, 41 yards, an interception. He goes deep, he overthrows. Dickey, Blackwood has the 2nd interception for the Dolphins. Miami has the ball. 2 turnovers, both by interception. And both on poorly thrown passes. 7:03 left to go first quarter. We have no score, and Miami has the football. Lyle Blackwood with his 3rd interception of the season. And he comes up with bumps and bruises. Dickey, intended receiver. We'll be back to the Orange Bowl in just a minute. Bagman at Baltimore, that's what they say. Should be Payman or Pegman, the way the pronunciation. Mike Pago or Mark Herman, the two quarterbacks. Miami with the ball.
Here's that setup, Charlie, we talked about earlier with Overstreet against Delaney.
Pump fake left. Incomplete. And there it was. You called it.
You could tell something was coming the first series of plays when the Dolphins put Overstreet out on Delaney. Delaney is a strong safety. Overstreet, a good receiver, runs a little hitch and go. They have it open. This is a thing that'll drive coaches nuts and drive them to gray right here. Is you get everything you want and you just overthrow it.
You set up the play, you show the fake, you picked up the mismatch, they go back to it, have the mismatch, beats him, and then it's overthrown. It always comes back to the quarterback in National Football. Tony Nathan, 2nd and 10 from the 36, back to the line of scrimmage. That's about it. James Burrows with the tackle. So it'll be 3rd down and 10.
A situation like that, Charlie, will be something you always look for mismatches. And obviously the Dolphins knew of a mismatch early in the film study this week, and they probably have worked on that play all week to get it into the ball game. One shot, one time. They had their shot, they had it open, and you miss it.
Now, can they come back to it?
I think if they come back to that same mismatch, they ought to throw short on him for a while before they go deep and try something deep.
3rd down 10, shotgun formation. Reno standing in. He scrambles to about the 42, maybe the 43-yard line. Give him 7. It'll be 4th down and 3. Quentin Ballard, the rookie from Elon College in North Carolina, is the man who made the tackle.
The impressive thing about Marino and the way he has played the last 6 games is that he has not thrown many interceptions. For a rookie, he's only thrown 5 interceptions, and he's played and thrown a lot of passes, so he is really playing like a veteran in the sense that he's not throwing the ball away.
The deep back on the return is Kendall Williams, with Anderson and Porter off on the wing. Roby to kick. 42.7 average. Not that good a kick. Taken on the far side at the 20-yard line by Rick Porter on the fair catch. 37 yards and a hang time of just 3 seconds. 5 minutes, 18 seconds left to go. We're in the first quarter. We have no...
Orange Bowl.
And that game, of course, great importance to those watching this game. Number 9, Mark Herman, 2 drives, 2 interceptions. What does that do to a quarterback?
Well, he's got to be a little bit shaky right now in his confidence.
So he goes back to the running game. This time it's Alvin Moore from the 21 to the 26-yard line, gain of 5. It'll be 2nd down and 5. And who is that masked man walking by Don Shula, that youngster?
Bill Arnsparger in the cap. Dewey's looking over to get the defensive signal. You see 3 men there in the shirts, 2 in the aqua shirts or 2 white shirts. There's a lot of stealing of signals going on, Charlie, in the National Football League. You have 3 guys for the Dolphins giving the signal. Only Dewey knows which one is really the live defensive signal.
Randy McMillan from the 26 to the 29. He has 3. So it'll be 3rd down, still a couple. Charles Bowser with the time. We talk about controlling the clock. Well, so far in the 2 drives, Baltimore has had the ball for over 6 minutes. Miami just under 3.5. So that is working for Baltimore. What is not working, the 2 interceptions.
The problem is they've kept the ball. They've had the ball 8 plays on their first drive, 7 on their second. But 2 interceptions. And the second one, Charlie, was really a poor choice by Mark Herman. They had good coverage on the man he was throwing to. To get the ball in, as we look at Frank Kush, it would have had to be a great throw.
2 seconds on the 30-second clock. They had to take a timeout. Go ahead.
The problem there was not getting the signal correctly from the sideline. They wig-wang the signals in, and you really don't know what he wants. So if there's any confusion, take a timeout and come over and get it right.
To go in the scoreless first quarter. Baltimore with the ball, 3rd down and 2. The Colts have converted 2 of 4 third down opportunities. Herman has completed 2 of 6 passes, 41 yards, 2 big interceptions. This is a running formation. McMillan, and his momentum will carry him for the first first down. Randy McMillan, let's check the scoreboard. We'll update what all is going on. Minnesota, Pittsburgh. Oh, Pittsburgh are the favorites there, tied 7-7. St. Louis leading San Diego. Luther, the quarterback for the Chargers. San Diego, of course, having their problems. Green Bay as suspected in front of Detroit. Cleveland and New England. Oh, that could be a little bit of an upset in the works.
Should be an interesting ball game. Both 6-5, battling to get in the playoffs.
Cincinnati now leading Houston 7-3. First down for Baltimore on their own 32-yard line. Herman, a little play action on first down. Goes to McMillan. He dropped that pass earlier, and he has 5 yards to the 37. It will be second down and 5. William Judson makes the tackle. So the Colts just kind of nitpick you away. Little here, little there.
Exactly. 59. Brzezinski holds on to McMillan. The play action fake at him, held him. Then McMillan slips into the flat. Herman was looking downfield. Tracy Porter was trying to get open. Nothing doing there. He just dumps it off, Charlie. Exactly what you're saying. He's better off dumping it now until he gets his confidence back.
Alvin Moore and Newton Williams are now the running backs at 2nd and 5. Now the two big backs are Dickey and McMillan, but still they stay with a rushing attack. Williams the ball carrier. Mike Charles with the tackle. Gain of a yard. 38-yard line. Third down and 4. Now Herman should be throwing on the next down.
You'd think he'd be playing. Here's 71. Mike Charles on Baldesweiler. Slips to the inside and makes the play. Charlie, Charles is in there because he's a better run defender. Beaucamper is a better pass defender. I'd like to see Charles make a sack one time. He's got something planned, doesn't he?
He has the dance choreographed.
Levitation of the quarterback. He says he's going to raise him up.
Curtis Dickey in the backfield goes in motion. He could be the primary receiver. They'll be throwing third down 4. Does not look to Dickey's side. Goes instead to the tight end, Tim Sherwin. Sherwin should have had the ball. It would have been a big play. Good call, good execution by everyone but the tight end.
It was a well-designed play and a good throw by Mark Herman. Problem was Sherman just dropped the football. Here's Mike Charles, 71. See if he's going to get in there and do any levitation. He gets by Donaldson. Gets there a little bit too late. Don't hit that quarterback. Take it easy on him now.
You protect the quarterback. Even in the booth, you protect the quarterback. Now, Ron Stark will be kicking. Number 1 in the NFL. 45.2-yard average. Mark Clayton set for the return. He's been punting so well, he's been out-punting his coverage. So it's not that good a punt. Taken at the 20-yard line by Clayton. Clayton to the 25 and returns to the 29-yard line. 42 yards on the kick. A 9-yard return. Pat Beach makes the tackle. The hang time 3.3 seconds. Not that good a kick. And Miami has the ball. Today, of course, a doubleheader day on NBC. So stay with us. Following this ball game, you will be seeing, in all probability, most of the country, the Kansas City Chiefs against the Dallas Cowboys. Some of you will be seeing another ball game or a possibility, and that, of course, is Seattle at Denver. Miami at their own 30-yard line, first down. We said at the opening, one of the key factors for Miami is Marino on target. Hadn't been throwing that well. Quick opener to Andre Franklin. Franklin pops for the first down. Gain of 11 from the 30 to the 41. Nesby Glasgow, who is all everything in the Baltimore Colts secondary. Outstanding defensive player. Makes the tackle. First down for Miami.
Running game of the Dolphins hasn't been very productive in the last few weeks. Here's Maxwell blitzing inside. Nathan with a good block. That play was what we call a sucker play, Charlie. The guard pulled, Ed Newman pulled, and the back went in behind him.
First down of the ball game. Here's Overstreet. First down, of course, for the Dolphins. He adds 9 yards to the quick total. James Burrows with the tackle. So now the Dolphins countering the Colts with a running attack.
Trying to get something going on the ground to take some of the pressure off the passing game, and Dan Marino, the last 2 plays were good plays for the Dolphins. Something that they're put in their offense in the last couple of weeks, especially the sucker play where you pull a man away from the way you're blocking and send the back through there. The defensive man is trained to follow the guard, and here comes the back right at you.
Donnell Thompson in for Quentin Ballard. Thompson bothered by a knee injury. Franklin, the ball carrier. First down, Miami at the Baltimore 46-yard line. A gain of 4. Let's go to NFL 83. Before, the San Diego defense is not that leaky. Maybe for that one play, but in reality, they've been playing better than their offense. And while we had the update, the clock ran out. First quarter is in the book. We'll be back in just a moment. No score. Signals from the sideline.
Gunther Cunningham, one of the 3 defensive coaches, he sends in the plays. Charlie, Tate Randall's over there on the right corner replacing Hatchett. We'll be surprised to see the Dolphins going after him.
Coming back over the middle to Bruce Hardy. Looking deep, everybody was covered from the 45 to the 38, gain of 7. Second down 3, Johnny Cooks with the tackle. It started to rain again. The forecast was temperature in the 80s, 20% chance of rain, but we've had a drizzle on and off since about 6 o'clock this morning.
It's 100% right now because it is raining.
Right. But
it just kind of goes off and on, and we'll probably have this most of the afternoon.
Tony Nathan and Woody Bennett in the backfield for the Dolphins. Second back through is Nathan. Marking for no gain, 38-yard line, so it'll be third down and 3. Now, you mentioned the change at right cornerback. Donnell Thompson making the last tackle. Derek Hatchett, scheduled to start there, did not make the trip. No comment from the Baltimore Colts. They cannot comment because earlier they had a suspension problem when he did walk out. Part of the settlement was that if anything came up, there would not be any comments on either side. The only thing that we do know, Hatchett did not make the trip. Tate Randall has started at right cornerback, and they will be testing him, no question about that. Third down and 3. From the shotgun, Marino. Going deep. It is incomplete. That will be pass interference. It's on Vernon Maxwell. He got behind the linebacker. Joe Rose got behind him. Maxwell was trying to just save a touchdown. Have the penalty. That's all you can do because he was beaten on the play.
See 56, Maxwell, responsibility is cover Rose because the 35 Randall was doubling on Nat Moore. There you see the penalty. I guess it's better to interfere than give him a touchdown.
That's right.
That's asking a lot to ask a linebacker, a rookie linebacker, to cover Joe Rose, who has got the speed of a wide receiver going down the middle of the field.
But Maxwell is an outstanding rookie lineman, and he is so loose. When he came out for kind of the early warmers, not the regular warmers, he came out and walked around. He had a Walkman on. He was listening to a little sound.
He's getting ready for the ball game.
8-yard line, first down, goal to go. Franklin. Touchdown. Drive, 7 plays. Right behind the center, Dwight Stevenson, the guard, Ed Newman.
That's a false key in the blocking scheme of the Miami Dolphins, something that's new. The defensive line for the Colts has not seen that before, and that's the reason that big gaping hole is there. Normally, when you're inside the 10-yard line, you don't see holes that big for offensive backs to be running through.
Franklin, 4 carries, 28 yards, and the touchdown. 6-0. Uwe Shaman to attempt the point after. Struck with the hole. It's good. The score is Miami 7 and Baltimore nothing with 13:31 time remaining in the second quarter. We'll be back with a kickoff. We're back with a look at the touchdown. Now, you talked about a false key. Now, what is a false key?
Charlie, normally if the ball is going to be run to the inside and you're a right tackle, you're going to block your defensive end to the inside. You're blocking, you're going to put yourself between him and the ball carrier. But what they're doing is they're false keying it. The right tackle blocked like he was going to hook the defensive end, or blocked him like the ball was going to be run wide, and they go back and run inside. Something that young defensive linemen have a problem with.
Von Shaman kicking off. On the return for the Baltimore Colts is number 20, Rick Porter, as the rain really starts to come down. There was a fumble. It was recovered by Baltimore. They trail by a score of 7-0. And the Colts have the football. Now, Bob, you live here. Did you expect this kind of rain today?
They said it was 20% chance as we see Porter getting good hit. The ball's up in the air. Scramble. The Colts are lucky to get this ball back. But, Charlie, this can happen. I mean, you look at the sky, and it's partly cloudy. There's a lot of sun around South Florida, but there's happened to be some rain over the Orange Bowl right now.
The 20% is right above the Orange Bowl.
That's exactly right.
There's the drive. It was 6 plays on the drive, not 7. I stand corrected. And it took 3 minutes and 11 seconds. Colts, first down, their own 22-yard line. Randy McMillan to the 26, gain of 4. It'll be second down and 6. Ernie Roan with the tackle for Miami.
Dolphins were in a 4-man line that time, Charlie. And Don Shula was saying before the game they may use a little 4-man line just to give the offensive line of the Colts something else to worry about.
So Bowser, the linebacker, comes out. Charles comes in as a lineman. Charles, Bocamper, Baumhauer, and Betters, the 4-down lineman. Second and 6. Dickey jumping to the outside. And he comes flying around the corner to the 30-yard line. Gain of 4, third down and 2. William Judson bumping him out. Now the Colts go back to doing what they do best, and that is run the football. The marathon men, Curtis Dickey and Randy McMillan, both averaging above 4 yards a carry rushing. Dickey 4.2, McMillan 4.3. Now Alvin Moore comes in, Dickey comes out. Third down and 2. Dickey a little shaken up on the far sideline. Bowser comes in for the defense, and Charles comes out. So they'll show a 3-man front. With the tight end in motion, McMillan to the 31-yard line. Needed 2, got 1. It'll be 4th down and a yard. Gerald Small with the tackle, number 48.
Good hit by Gerald Small. Gerald is not known for his defensive tackling ability, more for his coverage, but I think the plaudits from all of his teammates are recognizing the fact that he's not in there against the run very often. 71 Charles, number 2 draft choice, chasing him down. There you see the hit. Charles weighs in on Thursdays, probably about 280.
Curtis Dickey, we said, shaken up. They're still working on him on the sideline. So Gerald Small at 5'11", 192 pounds, making the tackle. And here is a great kick by Starr. Taken at the 8-yard line. Hang time 5.2 seconds. Mark Clayton on the return. A 60-yard kick, 4 yards on the return. 6-0 the yardage. The man who leads that category in the National Football League. Flag down. It'll be an illegal use of the hands against the Miami Dolphins. Clock is stopped with 11:37 left to go in the first half.
You saw a shot of Don Shula, who had just taken off his rain jacket, but I'm sure he told John Sandusky, the offensive line coach, right to the left of your screen there, said, don't take it too far, John, because that rain may come back.
There we go, block in the back, above the waist, number 31, receiving team.
Called against the least penalized team in the NFL. Miami averaging only 4 penalties and 37 yards of penalty per game. We'll be back. Report on Curtis Dickey. Had the wind knocked out of him. He's taking some oxygen. He's okay. He'll be back in. Report on the Dolphins. They lead 7-0, and they have the ball on their own 7-yard line with Franklin, the remaining back, Marino, the quarterback. 2 tight ends, Johnson and Hardy in the ballgame. Franklin, who scored the touchdown, picks up 3 to the 10. It'll be second down and 7. Today's game being brought to you by Ford and your Ford dealer. Have you driven a Ford lately? By Honda, the world's largest manufacturer of motorcycles and ATC 3-wheelers. Follow the leader, he's on a Honda. And by the Champion Spark Plug Company, the only spark plugs with a performance guarantee. We have just over 11 minutes left to go in the first half. Change at offensive right tackle for the Dolphins. Eric Laxo, bothered by that knee problem, has been replaced by Roy Foster. Tony Nathan. Nathan to the 14-yard line. So he has 4. It'll be 3rd down and 3. Steve Parker with the tackle. A chance to mention there's a special Dolphin Thanksgiving celebration here at the Orange Bowl today. Miami owner Joe Robbie and the Dolphins have asked fans to bring a bag of non-perishable food to the game. All food is being distributed, will be distributed as free Thanksgiving dinners to needy families in South Florida. WSBN TV Channel 7, our local NBC affiliate, is one of the co-sponsors. Tony Nathan, 3 carries, only 3 yards rushing. This time on the receiving end, to the 25, to the 30, and out of bounds. Tony Nathan, the leading receiver for the Dolphins. However, he ranks 19th in the AFC, and he's the leading receiver in the league for both ball clubs.
And a big play man for the Dolphins. Here's a good look at Tony Nathan coming across the formation. This is the shot. If you were playing defensive quarterback, the reason this ball is available to him, there were man-to-man coverage, and the back that had to cover him had to come all the way across the formation and got tied up with the linebackers on the inside. That's another thing, Charlie, the Dolphins see during the week, come in with the ball game with a specific idea and time to run that play.
Gain of 17 to the 31, 1st down. Play action inside, quick screen outside to Duper. To the 40-yard line, gain of 9. White Stevenson with a key block. Barry Krause with the tackle. That is number 85, Mark Super Duper, 9 yards. 2nd down and 1.
He has been super too, Charlie. Duper has 27 catches coming into the game with 6 touchdowns. Has really ignited the Dolphin passing game. Like I said earlier, he came in the same time Marino did. And those two have really set the offense alive.
And of course, that was the Buffalo game that they lost in overtime. But in that game, Duper had 7 receptions for 202 yards. Then later against the Rams, he had 7 receptions for 124. 2nd down and 1. Franklin, the remaining back. Has the 1st down to the 44-yard line. Gain of 4. Vernon Maxwell with the tackle. Were they looking for an influence block in the line, or was he just looking for a hole?
Well, Charlie, you hit the nail on the head. The Colt defense, especially the defensive line, they have 2 free agents. When Ballard is in and Parker is in, they have free agents at either end of the line, and they're very young and very aggressive. The entire defense is that way. And when they're aggressive, sometimes you can block them on the wrong shoulder, and they'll fight through the block, and you can run opposite the way it normally is.
Bennett, the remaining back. Marino has completed 4 of 5 for 35 yards. Fires this one. It's complete. Far side, it is Duper again. 1st down, 42-yard line of Baltimore. 14 yards on the play. Tate Randall, the man that they're picking on, is the man who made the tackle.
We'll see again the protection for Marino. He looks to the left. This is a little option screen. If the people stay off and cover Duper, then he'll throw it out in the flat. But if they go downfield with the ball, then they must be up in the flat covering the halfback. It's a good read, and it's an easy read for the quarterback.
Overstreet is in the back, and as a receiver, Bennett is in the backfield. Oh, it'll be Overstreet on a sweep to the right side. Flag is down. Slips a couple of tackles, gets around the corner, but there were 2 markers on the play. Bennett was in, they had him out as a receiver, and Overstreet as the remaining back. Were you surprised with that formation?
Yes, I was. Marino had him offside, so using his cadence, and something that Shula has taught all of his quarterbacks down through the years is take advantage of your cadence and control the line of scrimmage.
Give me an example.
For instance, if the cadence were on 3, he would say set 280, 280, hut, hut. Inflection.
Number 56, defense, still 1st down.
The inflection a lot of times will pull the defense off sides, and a lot of times it'll be the man right over the ball. And you would think that he would be the last to be pulled off sides because he can see the ball. But a lot of times he can hear better than anybody else can hear.
He could hear better than he could see. With the penalty, 1st down, 37-yard line after the 5 yards spaced off. Out of the backfield is Tony Nathan. Nathan to the 31-yard line. Needed 5, he got 6, he'll have the 1st down. Barry Krause with the tackle. Now, we said 2 things as we're looking at isolate. We said that Baltimore has to control the clock, keep possession. Well, right now, controlling the ball, is Miami, and we said Marino had to be on target. He's been on target.
Exactly right. Krause makes a good play on Nathan in the open field. Krause is about 6'3", 245 pounds, bringing down a Nathan who is very shifty and quick. It's a good play by Barry Krause.
Baltimore 31-yard line, first down. 7 minutes and 10 seconds left to go, first half. Miami leading it by a score of 7-0. Franklin to the 27-yard line, gain of 4. Barry Krause again with the tackle. It'll be second down 6. Program note tonight on NBC, Kennedy Part 1, a national experience. It will start at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Has had excellent review. Second down and 6, 27-yard line of Baltimore. Reviews on this ball game so far have to be mixed. Not that much has happened. The long drive of the Dolphins was set up by a pass interference call, and Franklin scored from 80 yards out. However, they started this drive with their own 7, trying to piece together 93 yards of real estate. Nathan, the carrier, a couple of yards, the 27 to the 25. It's third down and 4. Do you throw?
They're bringing in their situation substitution, Charlie, and it's not the short yardage, it's the possession, so they're going to throw the football. I think you got to look for Joe Rose or Tony Nathan coming out of the backfield.
This will be the 10th play of this drive upcoming. Third down and 4. They don't convert. Look for the field goal attempt. It's there. Nathan drops the ball at the 50. Classic example of running before you have the football.
Exactly, Charlie. You hit the nail on the head. The ball was so well thrown, and Nathan had beat his man that all he had to do was catch the ball. It will take another, be coming out of the right side of your screen. Nathan, 22, makes a move outside, does an arm over, gets inside. Perfect throw.
Oh,
Maxwell was beat for the second time today. That would have been a touchdown for sure for Tony Nathan.
And an excellent look at that play from a quarterback standpoint.
That is a great shot from the end zone. You can see what the quarterback sees.
An attempt of 43 yards by Uwe van Schamen, his longest this year. 52, well within his distance. Struck to Hall. He's got it from 43 yards away, and Miami stretches the lead. It is now Dolphins 10, the Colts 0, with just over 5.5 minutes left to go in the first half. Interesting ball game, and has a big impact on this ball game here. Now let's watch the kickoff as if you're a return specialist. Your name is Fulton Walker, and you're going to be the deep back. It's going to mean your name is Kendall Williams, or it is Larry Anderson, or it's Rick Porter. And if it's Rick Porter, you down it in the end zone. I knew we'd get to Rick eventually.
Well, they kicked it away. They kicked it away from all those other guys.
So did I. I kind of kicked it around. Now, we said that the Colts have to control the clock. They haven't been doing that recently. Time of possession, Baltimore, 11 minutes, 55 seconds. Time of possession, Miami, 12 minutes and 28 seconds.
And if Baltimore likes to do it, you know Don Shula likes to do it also. He likes to get a good mixture of run and pass, and really maybe a little bit heavy on the run. And some of those influence plays and those cross keys plays, Charlie, I call it, you're really messing up the defensive lineman. Those plays are working for him today.
Baltimore from their own 20-yard line, first down. Colts trail 10-0. Little play action by Herman. Throws. It is caught off the rebound. Tim Smith at the 45-yard line. Flag was dropped back at the 5, 25 yards of the play if it stands up. Is that a flag? May not be a flag. What is that back at the 4-yard line? Oh, it's something orange.
It is something orange, but this is a good throw by Herman. If it had been out a little bit further, his man would have caught it to begin with. This is a tough throw to complete. You see the man right in front of him. Sherwin, number 83, 47 is Blackwood. Colts got a little lucky on that play. Mark Herman making the completion.
And they have a first down. Now they say about Herman that he has a good touch, but the ball stays in the air too long. Randy McMillan, a couple of yards. The 48-yard line. It'll be second down 8. Baumauer with the tackle. Now, what about that? Does the ball stay in the air too long?
I don't think a ball stays in the air too long, Charlie. He's made some poor choices on throws today. His second interception was a poor choice. That one there, the man was really covered. It would have to taken a great throw to complete that pass. He was lucky that it wasn't intercepted, but he can get the ball there. He's just rusty. He hasn't played that much in the last 8 or 9 weeks, and he needs the playing time.
Little swing pass right flat to McMillan, and McMillan is flat at the 46 by Baumauer. So they'll lose a couple on the play. It'll go back to 3rd down and 10. Coming up Thanksgiving Day at 12 p.m. Eastern Time, NFL 83 kicks off NBC Sports Week 83. We'll take a special look at 2 of the game's greatest players, Franco Harris and former Heisman Trophy winner Billy Sims. Then Harris and Sims will lead their teams in a big interconference game. The Steelers taking on the Lions. Thanksgiving Day, the start of NBC Sports Week 83. They mark the ball at the 45, so it's 3rd down and 11. There's not a remaining back. Pressure from only 4 Dolphins. Dickey, the intended receiver, throwing at his feet. I think he was just throwing it away.
Well, Charlie, the reason, like you said, there was not a remaining back. The Dolphins defensively were up there showing Herman a double safety blitz, and that is, in the end result, is the reason why he was confused and threw the ball into the ground. He was thinking they were going to blitz, and when they didn't, he was thinking that they were and had to throw the ball. Good coverage on the part of the Dolphins.
Herman 4 of 10, 72 yards, 2 interceptions. Start to kick.
Deep for Miami, Mark Clayton.
Mark Clayton is the deep back for Miami on the return. Left-footed kicker. Oh, this one hangs up. 14-yard line taken by Clayton. And he's cut down at the 16, 2 yards on the return, 4.1 seconds hang time, 42 yards on the kick. And Mark Kafinsis of Hawaii makes the tackle. And we'll be back. This is Charlie Jones and Bob Greasy. And who is that? We alluded to the youngster earlier. That is middle son, Jeff Greasy.
Jeff Greasy there handled that football. He acts like a quarterback, but actually he's a linebacker.
Oh, is he a linebacker?
Played his first game about 4 or 5 years ago. I said, Jeff, are you nervous? He says, no, I didn't have any butterflies, but he said there were some bullfrogs on the field.
Oh, I love it. Marino for Miami from the 16. He's completed 6 of 8 for 55 yards. Dolphins lead 10-0. Pump fake wants to go long, fires long. There's coverage, could be intercepted, and it is intercepted. And it is Tate Randall with the interception. Flag was dropped back at the 7-yard line where Marino was dropped. We could have pass interference to call. They could have raced the interception. Not passing, roughing.
He pumps the ball. It was a little curl and go. The ball should not have been thrown because Tate Randall, 35, did not go for the curl. It's back there like the primary receiver makes the catch, but they're going to bring it back because it was roughing the passer.
And our camera shot left Marino just as their eyes did and didn't pick up the hit.
Frank Kush was not too excited about that call. It would have given Baltimore good field position.
Illegal use of the hand, a jam to the face. 78 defense. First
Going
down.
against Steve Parker, and of course, to the face, you can hit him on the shoulders or below, but you can't slide up. Let's pause briefly for station identification. This is the NBC television network. Quentin Ballard has replaced Parker. The line of scrimmage, the 21-yard line. It is first down. Miami leads 10-0, but let's see what else is going on in the NFL. Lynn, I surrender. I give up. The San Diego defense is porous. You win. First down, second down, Miami for their own 21. Reno being chased, gets a little screen for the referee, completes the pass to Nathan, and a flag goes down. Leo Wisniewski with the tackle. Penalties. Miami has not been penalized. Is that correct? I think they've been penalized once. Baltimore 4 ties for 50 yards. We'll double check that. Going to be marked walked off against the Dolphins. Ineligible receiver downfield. Kuchenberg, a guard.
Well, the problem with that, Charlie, is it was supposed to be a screen pass, and there was a linebacker out with the wide receiver or the halfback, and Cooch thought it was the ball had already been thrown. Cooch has been playing for 13 or 14 years. He knows how long those screen passes are supposed to take. He was going downfield to get somebody to do a little business.
And they did a little reset of the clock. There's now 2 minutes and 2 seconds left to go in the first half, so we'll have the 2-minute warning right after this play. The penalty takes the ball back to the 10-yard line. The down goes over. It'll be second down and 21. Bennett and Nathan in the backfield. They're split. And it is Nathan to the 15-yard line. So he gets 5 back. It'll be third down and 16. Vernon Maxwell was blocked right out of the hole. Tate Randall is the man who stopped the play. We have the 2-minute warning. And as you can take another look, we'll be back in just a moment to the Orange Bowl with the Dolphins leading 10. We've talked about the 2 great kickers here, Ron Stark for Baltimore and Reggie Roby for Miami. Well, Miami's best starting field position has been their 37-yard line. Baltimore's best starting field position, their 22-yard line. That is their best starting field position. So the kicking game, very important. You talked about that from the special teams at the top of the show.
It's very important, and Baltimore would have had good field position had not that interception not been allowed.
Third down and 16. Miami has converted 2 of 5 third down opportunity. Reno from the shotgun. Has all the time in the world. Goes deep. Duper is there. Has it. The speedster. He'll break it. He looks back. Is there a flag? No. We look back. Is there a flag? No. 85 yards. Marino to Duper. The headlines will read.
The excitement is back in Miami. Big play people. Dan Marino, Mark Duper. Here's the offensive line. This is a little rollout to give the quarterback more time. 57, Stevenson. Marino looks to his right to pull up the defensive secondary. Duper comes all the way over from the left, gets behind him. With that speed, he got that time to do it. Anderson's not going to catch him. Big play, people, for the Miami Dolphins. Something they haven't had in the last 3 or 4 ball games.
Duper, 3 receptions, 108 yards, 1 touchdown, 36-yard average. 16-0, going for 17. It's there. Miami 17 and Baltimore nothing. We'll take a timeout with 1:42 left to go in the first half. And with that play of 85 yards, the Dolphins blow this game wide open. They lead 17-0. We'll be back in just a moment with the last 1:42 of the first half. Preceding announcement was furnished as a public service by the National Football League and by Leo Wisniewski of the Baltimore Colts. There he is, Super Duper. He has world-class speed. Member of the NCAA 4x100 record-setting team, winning team in 1981. A lot of football players involved in that race. Right now, Larry Anderson is involved with the return. Near the 20-yard line, 15 yards on the return. William Judson makes the tackle. Now, let's look at the scoreboard. Green Bay leading Detroit. That's as expected. The Green Bay offense did show up. You just never know with the pack. Cleveland 17, New England nothing. Now that is a major upset.
Ryan Seibert, a 2-yard pass to Rocky Bell.
Chicago and Tampa Bay, that game was almost even.
Walter Payton with an 8-yard run for the Bears.
And of course, NFL 83 will have all of the details and scores at halftime. And they'll be also talking about the St. Louis offense, the Charger defense. Here's Herman knocked away. Wanted to go with the screen, but he had pressure. And it'll be second down and 10. Beaucamper knocked it down. That pass of 85 yards to Duper, well, the drive was 84 yards in 3 plays.
It's third.
And of course, the penalty's what took it back. Third down, 16.
Third and 16.
Longest ever Dolphin touchdown. Greasy to Warfield. He got him by a yard in 1971 of 86 yards against Pittsburgh. Pressure, blitz. Ernie Roll. That's the first sack of the ball. 34th of the year for the Dolphins. They know that Herman has to throw, and here they come.
Mark Herman's been having a tough time. This time, nobody picks up Ernie Rowan, 55. It's just a missed assignment by one of the offensive linemen or the backs.
Hey, glad you're back. Your microphone had been
yes,
you've been wandering off.
You
with
missed
us.
me.
I missed you. Yes.
Charlie, Mark Herman is not looking that good the first half. That may be an understatement. He's thrown 2 interceptions. He doesn't seem to really be in sync. He doesn't seem to be with it. He's like he's going through it slow motion. And I think the reason is, like we said, he hasn't played all year. The last time he played a little bit last week, and then in preseason he played. Mike Pagel has been the guy, but he's not really the passer that Herman is. But I think you still have to get in and play under game conditions. You just can't do it in practice.
Coming up Friday night, join us for the big primetime boxing special. Undefeated WBC heavyweight champion Larry Holmes. His record is 44-0. He'll be facing unbeaten Marvis Frazier, son of the former heavyweight champion Joe Frazier. Scheduled 12-round bout live from Las Vegas Friday night during NBC Sports Week 83. Now, here's a note. The Baltimore Colts have been outscored by their opponents 88-49 in the second quarter throughout the season. And today it holds true. They've been outscored 17-0. Third down and 11. Herman 4 of 11. Only 4 completions, 11 attempts, 2 interceptions, 72 yards in the air, and he has suffered a sack. And don't forget, NFL 83 at halftime. We'll be updating all of the games and highlights around the country. Third down and 19. Newton Williams gets the call. He's not that thrilled. He gets back to the line of scrimmage. Doug Betters with a tackle. Why do you run in that case? Might as well. Everybody knows you're going to throw.
Well, Herman obviously is not having that outstanding first half. They're backed up in their own territory. It's 3rd and 19. You've got the leading punter in the National Football League. Don't make a mistake. Bring on the punter. Let him kick it away and let your defense stop the Dolphins for the rest of the half.
Last week, Baltimore changed quarterbacks at halftime. It was Pagel who started, and they went to Herman. Now, Herman has the start here. They trail 17-0. Now, will we see a change at halftime? Is that
Charlie,
a possibility?
and I think the reason they changed last week because they needed some passing. Now they've got their passing quarterback in the ball game, and you're down 17 points at halftime. You know, I would think that you have to stay with Herman. You have to leave him in the ball game, and you have to let him play, get out his cobwebs, and let him get in there and make his mistakes.
Ron Stark will be kicking. You saw the timeouts remaining. Mark Clayton is set for the return. Even with a great kick by Stark, Clayton could have excellent field position. With the Dolphins going for the block, they have 10 men up front. 48-yard average on his 3 kicks, his longest being 60 yards. Leading kicker in the NFL, second in the NFL last year. 45.2-yard average coming into the game. He gets it off, not that good a kick, maybe feeling a bit of the pressure, gets a good roll. Picked up at the 40-yard line of the Dolphins by Clayton to the 45, the 40. Needs a block.
He's going.
The block. He'll break it. In the corner, he's got it. A 50-yard kick, but a 60-yard return.
Charlie, that was not an all-out block. They were up there faking a block attempt, but they're all coming back, peeling back, trying to give Clayton. He gets a good bounce. Now he's got a lot of white jerseys down there making some blocks for him, and you're going to see him coming right here. Makes a good run, cutting all the way across field. He's got the speed to outrun the rest of them.
Clayton, 4 returns, a total of 75 yards, 18.8 the average, the touchdown 60 yards out. Here's the extra point. It is good. It is Miami 24 and Baltimore nothing, and we still have 1 minute left to go in the first half. Nice celebration by Mark Clayton out of Louisville, a rookie taken in the 8th round of the draft.
Robert Sowell, 45, the free agent defensive back who made this ball club on special teams. I guess you're entitled to a little oxygen after a run like that. What do you think?
You're entitled to a lot of oxygen after a run like that.
I wonder, is that the first punt that's been, that is the first punt that's been run back against Stark this year?
That's correct.
You know,
when he looked up, though, when he looked up and he saw 10 men, is there a tendency to rush in that situation?
There certainly is, because, and that's why a team will do that. They'll show a fake, they'll show a punt because they want to put some problems in the minds of the punter, show a block, and sometimes they're coming and sometimes they're not. He didn't get off that great a kick, but the thing about the Dolphins have not really been playing that well on their punt returns. Clayton has been doing a pretty good job. Figueredo, who injured a knee on a punt return earlier in the year, has been out most of the season.
Von Schamann kicking off. You saw Herman, you saw Pagel, and you saw Clayton, the man who scored the touchdown. Larry Anderson on the return. And Anderson fumbles the ball out of bounds. The clock is stopped. He's at the 19-yard line. William Judson was there for Miami. And we have 54 seconds left to go in the first half. Now, the book on Herman is that he's a better thrower than Pagel. Pagel is a better rusher quarterback. In fact, he's the second leading rusher in the league to Cliff Stout. And Pagel has 330 yards rushing. But when you're down by this large a margin, 24-0, you have to throw. There's no question about it.
Well, the Dolphins have the Colts exactly in the situation they'd like them. They have a big lead on them, and that's going to take away some of that running game. It's going to force them to throw. Now, the Colts, on the other hand, you got a whole half to play. You can't abandon it because if you give the ball to Dickey, he could break a run for a touchdown in 7 or 8 seconds.
Herman has completed only 4 passes, 11 attempts. He's suffered 2 interceptions. Here's Dickey, right side. 27-yard line from the 19. He has 8. It'll be 2nd down and 2. Paul Langford with the tackle. Baltimore has not picked up a first down in their last 4 series. So give a lot of credit to the Dolphin defense.
Especially the Dolphin defense, Charlie, last week that played in New England and played so poorly against the rushing attack of the Patriots. Everybody thought coming into this ball game, the Patriots were number 2 in the rushing and the Colts being number 3 this week, that the same kind of scene would be played out here. Obviously, Bill Arnsparger, who wearing the headset there along with Don Shula, has made some adjustments and has shut off the running attack of the Colts pretty much in this first half.
Now let's go back to the offense of the Colts and the Mark Herman, Mike Pagel situation. Pagel does have the lowest completion percentage in the National Football League, 49.2%, but as I said, he's known more to lead the running attack. He's more of a scrambler and a good rusher.
He was the 4th round draft choice last year. Schleister was number 1, and he was going to be the quarterback, and Pagel was really wasn't highly thought of. Number 4, he came in and played, and he's been the guy that's been playing for him.
Something else for the Colts, even though they are 6'5", have a chance at a playoff spot, they still are in a building situation, young ball club. They have to find out who their quarterback of the future is, or if they need a draft one. Picking up the first down, and a lot to spare. Needing to is Curtis Dickey, and he has a total of 12 yards to the 40.
That was close to being a touchdown right
Yes.
there. We're talking about passing. We mentioned if you get Dickey loose in that secondary, he'll outrun everybody.
20 seconds left, first half. Hit from behind. It is a free ball. A fumble. It is recovered by Baltimore. Jim Bocamper is the man who jarred the ball loose from Mark Herman. And 32, Randy McMillan recovered. And the clock moves down to 0-0. So we finally wind our way to halftime. Scoreless after the end of the first quarter. But in the second quarter for Miami, Franklin from 8 yards out, Von Schaman a 42-yard field goal, Marino to Duper 85 yards, and Mark Clayton a 60-yard punt return.
Charlie, the momentum and the whole feeling of this first half is with the Dolphins as they go in now.
11 seconds. Marino on target. He has been on target, particularly to Super Duper, Mark Duper, for 85 yards in the touchdown. And there he is, Dan Marino, coming off of that bad game against New England, and he certainly has come back all the way, no question. 7 of 9, 140 yards and a touchdown first half for Marino. The kickoff to Fulton Walker. Walker to the 15, the 20, and down at the 24-yard line. 26 yards on the return. Ricky Jones makes the tackle. For Miami, it'll be Marino at quarterback, Nathan and Franklin the running backs, Moore, Duper, and Johnson the receivers, Giesler, Kuchenberg, Stevenson, Newman, and Laxo the offensive line. Defensively, Thompson, Wisniewski, and Parker, although Ballard is in and out. Odom is now in as a linebacker along with Braceland, Krause, and Maxwell. Burroughs and Randall at the corners. Delaney and Glasgow at the safety. 24-0. Miami leads from a Baltimore standpoint because they could still win. Realities of it that they won't. Now, what will they be doing in the second half as a young team?
Charlie, they've got to stay in the ball game first and try and shut down the Dolphin offense.
Andrew Franklin picks up a yard on the play. Jeff Taves is now at left guard, replacing Kuchenberg. Here are the stats.
And as we look at the stats, we see that the passing game of the Dolphins, 206 yards to 125. Turnovers, 2 for the Colts. Possession is the same, but the Colts really need to come out and shut down the Dolphins and get something going offensively. If they don't win the ball game, they've still got a young ball club. They've got a half of football to play, and a lot of those guys on defense and offense for the Colts can show what they can do.
Second down and 8. Little play action. Marino rolls. Up, he's at the line of scrimmage, commits himself. Has 3 yards to the 30, so it'll be third down and 5. Wisniewski with the tackle. Now, here's another stat. Well, there's more bad news for Baltimore. Miami outscored Baltimore 24-0 in the second quarter. The Dolphins have outscored their opponents 57-27 in the third quarter. And we're in the third quarter. When it rains, it pours, but the sun's out as far as the weather is concerned, but not on that side of the field. Third down 5, 30-yard line. Here's another quick question. Will we see Woodley or Strockett for Miami? Flag is down. Reno throws. It is caught with the second receiver, Joe Rowe. When it's going 18 yards, when it's going right, it all goes right. Colts offsides, of course, refused. It'll be a first down for the Dolphins.
I think if you ask Danny Marino who you were throwing to, it's got to be Rose all the way. The other guy just gets in the way. That isn't for you, Tony. Nate, get your hands down. I'm throwing for Joe Rose.
Take him any way you can get him, right?
Exactly right.
Now, will we see Woodley or Strock if the game does get out of hand?
I think you'll see one or the other. I don't think Marino will play the entire game if it continues the way it's going. Woodley told me earlier in the week, he says, I asked him how he was doing. He says, I'm sleeping better than I ever had.
He was very relaxed for the ball game when the last was to get dressed. Franklin with the Baltimore 49, gain of 3, so it'll be second down 7. Cliff Odom with the tackle. Johnny Cooks is in. Krause is out. Odom has replaced Krause.
Take a look at Braceland, 52, plays off the blocks, gets back into it. Braceland's been playing very well. In fact, the entire defensive linebackers for the Baltimore Colts has been playing well, Charlie. It's really been the strength of their defensive team.
Franklin now 45 yards and 9 carries, leading rusher for the Dolphins. Last year led them in rushing and was the team's most valuable player. Second and 7, Marino to throw. Into coverage, and it's incomplete at the 35-yard line. Duper, the intended receiver. Tate Randall was there. It'll be third down and 7, back at the Baltimore 49-yard line. Now Duper, the intended receiver in the first half, 85 yards on that touchdown reception. And when he caught it, he just, ran away from everybody. Well, there's an interesting note. In 1981, He was a member of the NCAA 4x100 relay team, the champions, Northwestern State University, Natchitoches, Louisiana. Victor Otis of the Colts, a wide receiver, was on that team. The late Joe Delaney, Mario Johnson, who is now a wide receiver, still in college, and Mark Duper of the Dolphins. He was the anchorman. Reno throws. It is incomplete, going for Joe Rose. So it'll be 4th down and 7. And let me just go back to that championship relay team. Finishing second was Georgia, and Herschel Walker ran second for Georgia. And finishing third was Tennessee, and the leadoff runner was Willie Gault.
Willie Gault.
All right. Here's Reggie Roby to kick.
Some of those sprinters around the country are doing very well in football. Is that what you're trying to tell us?
Not only that, 2 weeks from today, we'll have a feature that Ahmad Rashad and I completed this last week on world-class sprinters in the National Football League. Fair catch is called for. Ball hits the ground, goes into the end zone. Hang time, 4.7 seconds. It covered 49 yards for Reggie Roby. 12:21 left to go. We're in the third, and Miami is the big lead.
Well, Atari.
Quarterback.
He's got to be, Charlie. This has got to be his game. You got to put him in, let him play the entire game, see what he can do.
He calls on McMillan. Randy picks up 3 to the 23. It'll be 2nd and 7. Ernie Roan with the tackle. So it is Mark Herman at quarterback with Dickey and McMillan the running backs. Porter, Butler, and Sherman the receivers. Baldischweiler, Hinton, Donaldson, Vinnut, and Jeff Hart the offensive line. Defensively, Betters, Baumauer, and Bullcamper. Linebackers, Brzezinski, Dewey, Roan, and Bowser. Judson and Small in the corners, and the Blackwood brothers at safety. Herman to throw, has pressure, slips out of one would-be tackler. That was Bullcamper, but Bowser got it. That is the 2nd sack for Miami. Is that correct? 3rd sack.
Problem with Baltimore and the situation that they're in is they're playing the Dolphins, who are number 7 in the NFL in sacking the quarterback. Herman doesn't have the time. 58, Bullcamper goes inside, gets around Baldischweiler. Bowser comes around and makes the tackle.
3 sacks, they've lost 35 yards. Now, the last 4 possessions for Baltimore, the most plays that they have run in their last 4 possessions, of course the other ones being in the 2nd quarter, 4 offensive plays. Here it looks remarkably like 3 and a kick, but confusion, 30-second clock, another violation. They were calling a timeout. I don't know if they beat the clock or not. We'll find out when we come back. For Frank Kush, this is part of the growing pains of a young ball club.
Young ball club, and even more than that, a young quarterback who hasn't played much. You got to let him in and let him make the mistakes and play.
They're down and 18 at the 12, and he is sacked by Doug Betters. For Betters, that is his 16th sack on the year. He and Fred Dean tied for the lead in the NFL.
Betters is really playing well, and he doesn't take credit. He passes the credit around. He says, the other guys are doing as much as I'm doing. I'm just getting there first. And I think Doug Betters is having an all-pro year, Charlie. 16 sacks, playing very well, both against the run and the pass.
But there is something to be said for getting there first. Ron Stark will be kicking to Mark Clayton.
Especially when it's time to negotiate your contract, right?
You bet. Clayton busted 160 yards in the return for a touchdown. Oh, here's a great kick. Taken at the 34-yard line to the 40. Slips a couple of tackles, cut down at the 47-yard line by Cliff Odom. Hang time, 4.4 seconds. It got there in a hurry, but it covered 62 yards. With a 7-yard return, we'll be back. Shootout in the East. They started the day. Miami's winning. They could be 8-4. Buffalo is losing. They could be 7-5. Baltimore is losing. They'll be 6-6. New England, they're losing. They could be 6-6. So for the Dolphins, they could have just a bit of a breathing room after this ball game if it continues to stand up this way. Here's Franklin for the 46 to the 49. Gain of 3. 2nd down, 7. Leo Wisniewski with the tackle. Bob, early in your career with the Dolphins, you were involved in some games like this. What goes through your mind as offensively and defensively?
Well, we were involved in some games on the losing side, Charlie, and identifying very easily with the Colts. You just try to make each play work. You try to score each time you get out on the field. And if you don't win the game you're playing, next week you'll feel better. You'll accomplish something with your offense.
Quick screen, far side. Pass is complete to Mark Duper. Duper to the 46-yard line. Cliff Odom with the tackle. Baltimore territory, gain of 5. It'll be third down and still a couple. They'll mark it closer to the 47. Here's Vernon Maxwell, the rookie linebacker.
Maxwell was on a blitz, saw the lineman going out there and said, hey, you're going out there for some reason. Let me get out there and do something. Gets out and gets a piece of the tackle. But, Charlie, the only thing the Colts can do is get better. They are a very young team. They've got a half of football to play. And a lot of the plays like that one right there with Maxwell is going to teach him when those linemen go out there, hey, that's a key to me. I'm going there too.
And 72% of the Colt team, of 49 players, 48 who made the trip, have joined the ball club in the last 2 years. Youngest in the NFL in experience and in age. Here's Tony Nathan on the receiving end. Close to the 35-yard line. Nesby Glasgow with the tackle. Gain of 12, and it's a first down.
Good look at Danny Marino. Wisniewski, 69, drops off in the secondary, tries to make the tackle, a defensive tackle. Shouldn't be in the secondary, number one, and secondly, shouldn't be chasing little running backs around.
Now down to our right in the stands, there's Howard Schnellenberger, University of Miami. They're in the Orange Bowl. He just walked into the stadium, got the best ovation since Mark Clayton scored from 60 yards out. Way to go, Howard. Here's Franklin. To the 31, gain of 4, James Burke. And on January the 2nd, of course, it will be the Orange Bowl, the University of Miami, and number 1 Nebraska. And what precedes that? Well, the granddaddy of them all, the Rose Bowl. And what an upset on the West Coast. UCLA is going to be in there against Illinois. Glad to see somebody else from the Big Ten going in. And at the Fiesta Bowl, Bob and I will be there in Phoenix. It will be Pitt going against Ohio State. That's on January the 2nd this year because the first is on Sunday. And of course on that Sunday, divisional playoffs in the AFC on NBC. Marino throws far side, knocked away. Nathan, intended receiver. Vernon Maxwell knocked it away. He's really getting a workout at linebacker.
He's getting a workout. And the thing I'm impressed with Marino, Charlie, even though the receivers are covered, he is still throwing the ball away from the defensive man as much as he is throwing it to the receiver. Of course, if the receiver is open, he drills him. If he's not open, you throw it away from the defensive man and give your receiver a chance to catch the football.
Green Bay 10, Green Bay 20, Detroit 10, Green Bay leading by 10. Important game for the back. Marino 10 of 15, 174 yards, a touchdown and an interception. Nat Moore. Third down and 7. They convert 14 yards.
Joe Rose is standing on the 5-yard line with his hands on his knees. He can't believe he didn't get the ball. There was a mix-up in the defensive secondary for the Baltimore Colts. And Rose went right down the middle of the field untouched.
There he is.
Here we take a look at Joe Rose. He makes a little move down the middle, not a Colt within 15, 20 yards of him. That happens.
Will he say something to Marino?
There'll be a couple of people talking to Marino about that one.
Right. This is the 7th play of this drive. Started on the Miami 46. 6:49. Time remaining. Third quarter. Franklin almost gets loose. Cliff Odom finally brings him down. Dolphins out in front, 24-0, and they continue on their drive. Bruce Hardy will be checking into the offense. Line of scrimmage at 12-yard line, gain of 6. It'll be 2nd down and 4 for the Dolphins. Andre Franklin back into the lineup. 12 carries, 57 yards for Franklin, and he scored a touchdown. Oh, it's Woody Bennett who comes into the offensive set. Duper wide to the far side. Moore is wide to the near side. Bruce Hardy's the tight end on the right side. The cast of characters. 2nd and 4. Good continuing effort by Tony Nathan. Close to the first down. See where they mark it. Vernon Maxwell was there for the defense. Surge blocking by the offensive line.
52 is Braceland. Bruce Hardy, the offensive tight end, blocking, stands him up. That's a plus block for the offensive lineman. When you get the man where he doesn't get in on the initial hit, drive him off the ball, it's a plus for your report. They do a great amount on every play.
First down, goal to go, 8-yard line. Jeff Taves, still the left guard, replacing Kuchenberg in the second half. Kuchenberg in his 14th year. He's just getting a bit of a rest. Franklin to about the 2-yard line, maybe the 2.5. It'll be second down, goal to go. Glasgow and Randall on the tackle.
Tackle by number 45, Randall.
Now marking closer to the 3-yard line.
Gain of 5.
Franklin, 61 yards rushing, 13 carries.
Typical drive for the Dolphins coming out in the second half. I'm sure Don Shula really stressed the fact that let's take the first possession offensively in the second half and march it down the field, and if we can score, it'd be very tough for the Colts to come back. It's exactly where they are right now on the 3-yard line going in.
3 tight ends. As Roy Foster, a tackle is in, a tight end has to, of course, report to the officials. Tip play of the drive does not. Tony Nathan, he does not get in. So it'll be third down, goal to go, about a foot away. Four minutes and 25 seconds on the scoreboard clock. And the clock is stopped at this point. I'm surprised. Everybody kind of unpiled, and then it's restarted by the referee. Frank Kush, head coach of the Colts. After this game, they'll be 6-6.
You got 2 plays to run this in, Charlie. They're not going to kick a field goal, being up 24-0. Nathan over the top.
Quarterback sneak, it's there.
I think he fumbled the football.
All that has to happen is for the football, the nose of the football to break the play. And soon as that happens, the plane of the goal line, like an invisible shield, and it's automatic. Reno does score. It is now 30-0.
This is a close play right here. I never understood why quarterbacks feel like they should be running backs and jump over the pile, especially when you leave yourself wide open. As you see, Burrows, 45, will take another look at it. Barely got in, I guess, before he did fumble, but it wasn't long. To leave your quarterback hanging up there where you can have a defensive linebacker come and really zing him one.
I agree.
I'd rather give him to the running back, wouldn't you, Charlie?
You're right. They're used to running with the ball. Here's the extra point. It is good. Marino 3 carries, 11 yards. He has a touchdown. The Dolphins have the lead. It's a big one. It's Miami 31 and Baltimore nothing as the Dolphins are on their march to the playoffs. Drive, it covered 54 yards, and in time, just over 6.5 minutes. Reno going in reality, from less than a yard away. Uwe van Schamen will now be kicking off.
There's David Woodley, 16. You saw Marino just a second ago talking to Strock with the cap on. And Charlie, if you were going to put in a backup, who do you put in?
That's going to be an interesting decision. Here's Kendall Williams. Williams to the 20. And he is decked at the 22-yard line by number 78, Charles Benson. 14 yards on the return. Bob, why don't you run down the scoreboard?
Marcus Allen with a 4-yard run, 17-3 for the Raiders. It's a close game at halftime.
Look at that. Wow, that San Diego defense is porous. I agree. I give up on that. Green Bay by 10.
That's a surprise.
Boy, that's a big surprise right there. Giants in Philadelphia. That's a bit of a surprise. Cincinnati way out in front of Houston. So Oliver Luck didn't last. Play action early. Almost intercepted. Gerald Small going for the interception. Tracy Porter, intended receiver. Question. You're down 31-0. Why bother with a play action fake?
I have no answer for that.
For the record, Bob Greasy shook his head.
I guess what we got to think about, Charlie, is that Baltimore is strong running, whether or not they're 31 points behind or not. They still have McMillan and Dickey. Play action on first down may fool somebody, may hold somebody. This is good experience, good work for Mark Herman.
Second and 10. Here's the screen. McMillan. McMillan has the first down and continues to the 50-yard line. 27 yards on the play. We'll look again, but first, let's pause briefly for station identification. This is the NBC television network.
This is a simple screen pass. 32 McMillan. Behind Ben Hutt, 64 makes a good block. Blackwood, 47, gets run over. He's leaving him in his wake, you would say.
Very descriptive. Here's Curtis Dickey. Dickey to the outside, and he has 4 or 5 yards. 2:55 left to go. We're in the third quarter. This is Charlie Jones, Bob Creasy. The score, Miami 31 and Baltimore nothing. But right now, the Colts have something going. And this could pick them up as not as far as the winner or loser is concerned, but as far as your energy level for the rest of the ball game.
As we look at Zeke Bartkowski with the headset on in the middle of the three there, you're very correct, Charlie. Scoring a couple touchdowns will help the offense for next week, and particularly Mark Herman.
Second down and 4, following a gain of 6 yards just inside the 45. Play action fake again. Here comes the blitz by Bo Camper. Sack number 5 for the Dolphins. That also has to be discouraging from a quarterback standpoint.
Well, it's little mistakes. Newton Williams, number 39, was supposed to pick up the end man on the line. He will take another look as we see the play action fake. Newton Williams goes over inside, doesn't pick up his responsibility. That's not the quarterback's fault, but when you have this many young players on a team, they're all going to make mistakes, so you got to get them in, let them play and make their mistakes, and you'll be better for it in the long run. Baltimore is better for it this year because they've already won 6 games. Last year they played a bunch of young people again.
5 sacks, 50 yards. Loss attempting to throw by Herman. This one's over the middle to Dickey, bobbles it and drops it. And he was headed, I know what happened. I'll tell you and see if you agree. He looked up, thought he had possession. He saw the first down marker, knew that he had the first down, a couple of steps away, forgot to hold on to the ball.
Good observation and a good call. Just get Dickey the ball in broken field, and he can do something with it, but you got to hold on to it first.
Herman, 5 of 14, 99 yards, 2 interceptions. Those 2 interceptions early on in the ball game. Ron Stark will be kicking to Mark Clayton. Now he'll kick it all the way to the end zone. Let's see if he goes for hang time and tries to drop it around the 10-yard line. Oh, he's awesome. He's going for the hang time. Look at this. It may never come down. Fair catch at the 11-yard line. 5.4 seconds of hang time. 40 yards on the carry. We've got a timeout. 2:05 left to go. Third quarter, Dolphins have the big lead, 31-0. Newsflash, the Goodyear blimp just had triplets. And Miami has the ball just inside their own 12-yard line. After a bad week last week, starting to drizzle again. Reno last week, 14 of 37, 141 yards, no touchdowns and interception. Boy, he's hot today. 11 of 16, 188 yards, a touchdown and interception, 3 carries, 11 yards, and he scored. Now, last week, NFL 83 ran a story on super teams, an educational program instructing kids in the prevention of drug abuse. If you would like additional information on this important organization, you can write to Super Teams, Dr. Jerry Edwards, 2 Overton Avenue, Sayville, New York, 11782. Gain of a yard on the last play to the 13. Second down and 9. This is Miami's 9th offensive possession of the ball game. Tony Nathan, and he may pick up the first down. Glasgow making the tackle. Very close to the marker on the near side. The change from the far side.
For 60, Jeff Taves gets out, knocks the linebacker over. The Dolphins really have not had their running game going the way they'd like to the entire season. Today, they're getting their game going. Franklin has made some good runs, and Tony Nathan has made some good runs. And that offensive line, which is really the strength of that offensive team, has been playing very well. Don Shula is very happy about it.
The changes in that offensive line is Cleveland Green, Jeff Taves, and Roy Foster all in. Now we look at Marino, the pitching quarterback. We've mentioned what a game that he's been having. Well, he was a baseball player. Franklin around the corner, out of bounds to 22 to about the 25. It'll be second down 7. Glasgow makes the tackle. Now, you all know the John Elway story, NFL rookie at Denver, and he had a chance supposedly to play professional baseball with the Yankees. Well, Dan Marino was the 4th-round draft choice of the Kansas City Royals. There's a little tidbit to file away. And when Miami's leading 31-0, we look for those little tidbits. Ross Schneiderman, way to go. 42 seconds left to go in the 3rd. With the little bit of rain that we have had today, it's been a Dolphin afternoon as Andre Franklin gets the call. And Johnny Cook gets the tackle. And we'll be counting down to the end of the 3rd quarter, so we'll be able to put this one in the books, and we'll have 15 to go. And if everything holds up, the Raiders leading Buffalo right now, Cleveland upsetting New England, well, Miami will be atop the AFC East with an 8-4 record. Buffalo will be a game back.
I think it's a very important game for the Dolphins because they're playing for home field advantage in the playoffs. They have 4 losses. The Raiders have 3. Pittsburgh has 2. And it'd be very important for them to not lose any more ball games. They have 5 games left, 4 at home, so they're playing for something in the playoffs.
Back after these messages from your local station.
Wednesday.
27-yard line. See the rain clouds hovering in the background here at the Orange Bowl. The night of January the 2nd. Nebraska and Miami inside handoff to Tony Nathan. Is it Nathan or Overstreet? It's David Overstreet. Nisby Glasgow with the tackle, and Overstreet picks up the 1st down. David Overstreet was supposed to be a big play man for the Miami Dolphins. #1 draft choice in '81, played a couple of years in Canada, but he really hasn't had that good a season. 2 carries for 17 yards today. What's been the reason?
He hasn't played a lot, and the reason is that Tony Nathan, although his statistics aren't that great, has been playing very well. Whenever Overstreet has been in, he has done very well, but he just hadn't had the opportunity.
Saw a quick glance at the statistics after 3 quarters. Maybe we can come back. They really point out what the scoreboard said. Overstreet getting the call here. So in this kind of a ball game, he'll get a lot of work, I would imagine, here in the 4th quarter as Braceland and Cooks make the tackle. Now we come after 3 quarters. Time of possession, Dolphin side. That was one thing the Colts had to do. Total yardage, of course, Miami. Passing yardage almost 2 to 1. Rushing yardage is reasonably close. Third quarter, Miami had the ball just over 11 minutes. Baltimore, 3 minutes and 45 seconds. Pass is complete to Mark Duper, and Tate Randall was there for the defense. 1st down.
This is just a little quick out. Duper with the great speed that he has. Tate Randall has to play off of him. Randall makes a good play to stop it for only a 5-yard gain.
Duper, 5 receptions, 121 yards. Now he has a couple of ball games with 7 receptions against Buffalo for 202 yards and against the Rams for 134 yards. He's in his 2nd year. 2nd-round draft choice a year ago out of Northwestern State University, Natchitoches, Louisiana. Here's Mark Clayton, the rookie from Louisville that exploded for a 60-yard punt return and a touchdown. Here he picks up 19 yards. Glasgow with a tackle. Today's game brought to you by Mazda, who invite you to experience the low-price Mazda B 2000 Sundown. By De Beers, the name that stands for diamonds, the perfect gift for any occasion. A diamond is forever. And by Xerox, managing information around the office and around the world. 1st down, Miami at the Baltimore 35-yard line. Dolphins leading 31-0. Moore shows motion inside. Overstreet's in trouble, fakes inside, gets around the corner. Good move by David Overstreet. Glasgow bumped him out. He's more of a slashing style of runner for the Dolphins.
In a period of 1 year, the Dolphins have really gotten a lot of big play people back into their offense. As we see the handoff here, 61 is Foster, who makes a block inside. That block was set up by that little dip. Lowers his head. That's good, tough running. But the thing I was alluding to, Charlie, they've got big play people on the outsides with Mark Clayton, who's already run a punt back, Mark Duper, who has caught the big pass, and now they've got Overstreet in the backfield, and Marino. At the beginning of the season, none of those people figured in the starting lineup for the offense for the Dolphins.
Now here's the 10th play of the drive, so it has been the Dolphins controlling the clock in the second half. For the defense, Nesby Glasgow. For the offense, Tony Nathan.
It's interesting to see the situation here that Don Shula finds himself. 31-0, of course, is great for him. He leaves his #1 quarterback in. Who would you go to? Do you go to Strock, the 10-year veteran? Do you go to Woodley, the 4-year veteran who Marino replaced? Or do you leave the rookie in and let him get the playing time and the experience? We were talking about Mark Herman. Certainly Marino needs to go through a lot of things that he can get in this fourth quarter of the ball game, and he's staying in.
Got a chance to see some of the other scores today. First down at the 23-yard line. Here's Overstreet. He's the yard to the 22. It'll be second down and 9. Jeff Delaney with the tackle. Now Overstreet beginning to show a little sparkle. And I noticed that when he comes out for a breather, then Tony Nathan says, hey, this is my position. And he picks up a first down.
The competition is always good, no matter whether it's at the quarterback position or running back or offensive line. And you never have enough running backs because they're always going to get nicked somewhere along the line.
Now, you made a statement. I'll wait till after this play to come back to it. I would like you to clarify one statement that you made. Second down and 9. Marino drops it outside to Overstreet. He drops the ball. Very catchable, but he drops it. I can understand you feeling about competition at running back, but you said competition at quarterback is good. Now, do you really feel that way? Did you feel that way when you were playing?
Oh, I really did, Charlie, and I'm not kidding when I say every year when I went into training camp, I really felt like I had to play better and prove myself, play better than the other quarterbacks on the team. And it turned out that way most of the time. Don Shula being a very fair person, that's the only way to do it. If somebody else is playing better, they should be in the ball game. Competition is good at every position.
Third down conversion for Miami, 6 of 11 from the shotgun. Flag is down. Duper with a sliding catch. Touchdown at the 13-yard line. He should have the first down if the play stands up. Dick Jorgensen says, no, I won't stand up. Illegal motion against the Dolphins. Now, one of the reasons, here's Don Shula leading 31-0. He hates penalties. Not only in the game films that they brought up, but it's brought up in practice and time again. And that is the discipline that means that the Dolphins, the least penalized team in the NFL.
Right guard not set before the snap. Offense, still third down.
Right guard in motion, Ed Newman.
Excuse me, Charlie. I think what you said is very true. And the reason Don Shula doesn't like penalties, it means a mental mistake on the part of somebody. That they start too soon or they're too aggressive. And he doesn't like it in his football team.
Third down, 14, ball at the 27-yard line. Miami has run more plays in this drive than any other drive today. Quick pass outside is to Nat Moore, and Moore has a first down, and again there's a flag, drop back at the 32-yard line. Dolphins averaging just 4 penalties a ball game. Boy, they get 2 in a row.
That was a simple pass play as we look at today's officials.
And what they do during the week, a bank president and the aircraft company, president art company, vice president insurance, area manager gas company, warehouse owner, and a pharmacist. I like that. These are very competent people.
Illegal use of the hands, number 61, offense, jam to the face.
Call on Roy Foster, number 61, a jam to the face.
A lot of people, a lot of fans, Charlie, think that the officials are just part-time, that they don't have anything else to do. They sit around home and then they go to the games on the weekend. As we note, each week they are bank presidents, pharmacists who just happen to also be very involved in the National Football League. Most of them were former players, or some of them were former players but they have to go through a lot of preparation each week.
And they're involved studying the rules every night. They're involved running almost every other night of the week. I tell you, it's a tough job. Little bitty shovel pass underneath the coverage. And for the third time in a row, this time Tony Nathan.
Tony likes that play. He was waving them on.
We're going to get that first down. You keep penalizing him. That was 3rd and 24. Burris made the tackle, and the Dolphins finally have the first down.
Well, when things are going right for you, they really go right. We saw earlier a ball was tipped and Joe Rose caught it. This time it was a little, they call this the shovel pass. Quarterback starts toward the defensive end. If he comes toward him, he'll pitch the ball forward. It's really a pass because the ball does go forward.
12-yard line, 1st and 10. 10 minutes, 19 seconds and counting. Time remaining in the game. Dolphins lead 31-0. Tony Nathan, 5 receptions, 62 yards. Franklin to the 10-yard line. So Andre has a couple. It'll be 2nd and 8. Johnny Cooks with the tackle.
And what is happening here, Charlie, we've alluded to it a little bit, is all the subs for the Dolphins offensive line are in the ball game. The wide receivers, Woody Bennett is in the ball game, the backup fullback, Nathan and Overstreet are alternating. He's got all of his backup players in the ball game, but yet Marino is still there. Marino is learning with every play. Plus, they've got 31 points. One of the tiebreakers in the division is number of points scored, and he's got that in the back of his mind also. Does Shula.
Marino has thrown for 236 yards this time. He gives the handoff to Overstreet. He spins his way to the 3. Gain of 7. It'll be 3rd down in the yard. Glasgow with the tackle.
David Overstreet, the #1 draft choice of the Dolphins a couple of years ago, went to Canada, was used more as a receiver, shows his running ability. Like I said, you never have enough good quality running backs.
This is the 16th play of the drive upcoming.
Kuchenberg grabbing for the linebacker. Great shot of the action down low on the field.
We gave him the first down. No. Short by the length of the football. Overstreet 6 carries, 33 yards. It's over a 5-yard average.
John Sandusky, the offensive line coach, standing next to Don Shula. Don Strock, number 10, ready to go in if it's a field goal try.
It'll be 3rd down and about a foot.
The Dolphins hadn't scored in 6 quarters coming into this ball game, Charlie. And
make it 7. They didn't score in the first
they
quarter
didn't
here.
score in the first quarter. So they're really
they're making up for lost time.
Cleaning themselves, blowing it really out, getting some points on the board and scored some points. So a certain amount of frustration that goes with being shut out in a ball game as they were last week in New England, only scoring 2 field goals.
3rd down and a foot. You do a little play action and loop a pass in the corner of the end zone.
You do anything when you're ahead 31-0.
Oh, let's run at it. David Overstreet. Cliff Odom with the tackle. First down goal to go.
It's an update on the LA Raider Buffalo score. Marcus Allen with a 4-yard run. Raiders ahead 17-3.
And so that means that right now Miami will be 8-4. Buffalo losing, they'll be 7-5. Baltimore losing, they'll be 6-6. New England losing to Cleveland, they'll be 6-6.
Benny Ricardo is a 39-yard field goal. Minnesota now leads 17-7.
Over Pittsburgh?
Over Pittsburgh.
Oh, that's a big one.
That's it.
17-7. Oh. We've got a timeout. Miami has the lead. We'll be back in just a moment. That's a good point, Lynn. It is damaging to New England's playoff hope, and it keeps Cleveland's hopes alive because they still have 5 to play and 4 to play after today. First down goal to go about 1.5 yards away. Woody Bennett gets the call. He goes in. So So the Dolphins spread it around. Marino scoring a touchdown. Franklin scoring. Woody Bennett, Mark Clayton. Uwe von Schaman with a 42-yard field goal.
67. Kuchenberg pulls and is going to block anything in the area. Just enough to get Woody Bennett into the end zone.
First time this year that Miami has had 3 rushing touchdowns in a ball game. Attendance today, 54,482, just over 5,000 no-shows. Here's the extra point attempt by Uwe von Schaman. Don Strock holding. Kuchenberg with the snap, and it is no good. Grant Fiesel, did he get a hand on it?
Blocked.
The rookie from Abilene Christian College. 8:06 left to go, 37-0 Miami. The drive took almost 9 minutes, 88 yards, 17 plays. Woody Bennett scoring the touchdown, and they had to get the first down 3 times because of penalties. And then they missed the extra point, blocked by Grant Fiesel. Right there. So a bit of
penetration in the center of the line.
Yes. Thanks for finishing that for us. This will be down in the end zone. Baltimore will start at their 20-yard line. We talked about special teams. Now, Baltimore's best field position all day to start a drive has been the 22-yard line. They're on the 20. We'll be back.
There's a lot.
Stopping the Raiders today. Buffalo, well, they'll be 7-5. Miami will lead by 1. Starting today, Miami and Buffalo tied for the lead. 20-yard line. Baltimore, first down. Herman has gone all the way into coverage. Should have been intercepted by Terry Tutolo. A.J. Dewey was also there, but out of UCLA. Tutolo had a chance for the interception. Would have been his first of the year.
Herman has got to see the entire field, Charlie. Before he rolled to his right, wanted to throw right, went back to his secondary receiver, which was coming from the left side, but he's got to see the defensive men and where they are before you throw that ball down there.
37 points by Miami, most points scored by the Dolphins this year. Previous high, 35, that was against Buffalo. They lost it in overtime. Most points that the Colts have given up this year. McMillan on the receiving end of the pass. 29-yard line. It'll be 3rd down and 1. Dolphins going for their second shutout of the season. They shut out Buffalo 12-0 in the first game on 4 field goals by Uwe von Schaman.
The Colts really haven't been very productive today. Their first 2 drives, they had 8 plays in the first series and 7 in the second. Since then, the last 5 series have been 4 plays in a punt, 3 in a punt, 2 in a punt, 3 in a punt, and 5. So they really are not sustaining anything offensively.
And there's the score that Lynn Berman was talking about. Raiders 24 and Buffalo 3. 3rd down and a yard. McMillan, and he's got it, first down. Just across the 30-yard line. Officially, the market is the 31. But when you have a touchback and you bring the ball out to the 20-yard line to start a drive, all you have to do is to touch the chalk mark of the 30-yard line. They don't bother to bring out the chains on a measurement. You get it across there, and that's it, first down.
McMillan is an outstanding runner, as we've talked about during the game, but Shula, a couple of years ago, when McMillan was a rookie, was a senior at the University of Pittsburgh, was looking for a big fullback and really wanted McMillan, and McMillan wanted to come to the Dolphins, but Baltimore took him. The Dolphins ended up drafting Overstreet and Franklin in the same draft.
Little play action, and then back to Curtis Dickey. To the 36-yard line, gain of 5, 2nd down 5. And McMillan has always played well against the Dolphins.
Always played well, and Dickey has played well too. I'd say these 2 running backs, Charlie, Dickey and McMillan, I am very impressed with. If they can hang around until they get their quarterback situation in order and their receivers in order, get their offensive line where they want it, they're going to have a dynamite offense.
Speaking of that offensive line, there's been a change at offensive left tackle. The rookie from Tulsa, Sid Abramowitz, 6'6", 279 pounds, taken in the 5th round of the draft. He is in. 2nd down 5. Herman throws low and wobbly and dropped. Incomplete, flag down. Tracy Porter had a chance. Really a tough catch trying to come back that low. But Herman doesn't seem to have the zip on the ball, particularly when you compare him to Marino.
He doesn't have the zip. He's not throwing the ball as well as he should. And it's hard to say as we see just a little out. Throws the ball low and away, but that's a little bit too low. You got to give him the benefit of the doubt. He has not been in a game competition.
Number 52, defense, first down.
Holding on to Tolo, and a first down.
And excuse me, Charlie, it does make a difference when you play quarterback. Practice is one thing, but playing in the game is another. He needs this time in the ball game.
Another change in the offensive line for Baltimore. The rookie from Abilene Christian who blocked the extra point attempt, Grant Fiesel, in at right guard. First down for Baltimore. Their own 41-yard line. Herman has pressure. He's sacked. That is the 6th sack in the ball game for the Dolphins. Glenn Blackwood got this one.
That was a safety blitz, Charlie, with Glenn Blackwood coming up from the outside. They don't need to do this to win the ball game, obviously. They're ahead by 37 points. What this does is it affects the team they're playing the following week. To the right side of your screen, number 47, we can pick him up. Then Blackwood will be coming. But what this does to the team they're playing the following week gives them more things to think about. They got a safety blitz here on the quarterback. Next week, they have to. The team they're playing has to prepare for it and has to be aware of it.
6 sacks. Herman has lost 58 yards attempting to throw. 2nd and 18. Here's the screen. McMillan stumbled just a bit, kept his feet. Oh, he's a load and a half.
Not only is he an excellent runner and receiver, he is a devastating blocker.
Gain of 16, 3rd down and 2. Boy, you said before he leaves him in his wake, and he certainly does. This is Jim Bob Taylor, rookie out of Georgia Tech, taken in the 11th round in the draft. He's thrown 2 passes this year, 1 complete, 1 an interception.
Colts have 4 quarterbacks, which is a little bit unusual.
Very unusual.
Somewhere in there is Howard Schnellenberger.
Being introduced to the crowd, head coach, University of Miami.
What a great job he has done. Former coach of the Baltimore Colts, came back to the Dolphins for a year and then moved over across town to the University of Miami, and just an outstanding year for University of Miami. 10-1, ranked number 4 and 5, whichever poll you look at in the national rankings. He's going to play Nebraska right here on NBC on the 2nd of January.
It'll be 4th down and a yard after that last play. Program note tonight on NBC. Kennedy Part 1, a national experience, starting at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Randy McMillan has 4 receptions, 56 yards receiving for the Colts. 4th down 1, go for it, why not? 4:25 and counting, time remaining in the ball game. You trail 37-0. Let's work on our offense. Short yardage, go to a goal line offense here.
Got to make the first down right now.
That's what I mean, just for the yard?
Certainly.
Oh, they got it. Flag is down, though. McMillan picks up the first down, but the way the marker was thrown, usually it's offensive holding. He has 11 yards at the play stands up. This against the Colts. So it'll be 4th down and 11 after they mark off the penalty.
I am very impressed with McMillan. He's a throwback to the old, big, tough, fast fullbacks what we used to have in the National Football League. So often these days you're seeing 2 halfback type situations where offenses are throwing the ball. You don't see many McMillans.
Number 53, offense, still 4th down.
On the center, Ray Donaldson. And now Ron Stark comes in. They will be kicking here.
Stark in the front for Baltimore.
Moving on the 4-minute mark, 4:06 left to go in the game. Mark Clayton will be the punt returner for the Miami Dolphins. Clayton earlier, a 60-yard punt return for a touchdown. His 2nd touchdown of the year. He had 1 receiving. And Stark has put on a kicking exhibition. He once outkicked his coverage by more than 20 yards. Here's another great one. They need faster cover men as well as he is kicking. Clayton returns to about the 50 to punt of 52 yards, 7 yards of the return. Hang time 4.2 seconds. Sanders Shiver makes the tackle. 3:54 left to go. Dolphins 37 another.
Green Bay 20.
All right, we're back. It's a little warm this afternoon. This is the preventive knee.
Strength to their knee, and a lot of the players in the National Football League are wearing this now, Charlie, because it's not a brace and it doesn't really bother them a whole lot. They can wear it and wear it
in case somebody comes across and hits you or falls on you. You don't have a...
And you wear it on the outside of your knee. It's something new in the National Football League.
Eddie Hill on that last carry. Now this is the flak jacket. They're now much lighter. They're even lighter than this. They have some that are
they're
very,
mesh,
very light.
yeah, they're mesh, so they're not, and it's got the padding over the ribs and the padding in the back and on the hips where the quarterbacks can be hurt.
If I put this on, will you hit me with a baseball bat?
Yeah, I could hit you.
We talk a lot about, the equipment. It was just a chance, particularly in this ball game, to kind of give you an on-camera look. Eddie Hill gets the call again. He picks up 11 yards. Bob Kuchenberg in his 14th year.
The old man.
The old man of the sea.
Beard's getting gray.
Well, there's nothing wrong with that. Wait a minute.
And still knows how to play the game.
To combat the old AFL, and now the AFL, of course, as everyone knows, part of the National Football League. So there's a little of emotion going back to that one. Goes back to the year 1960. At that time, they were battling for warm bodies in the Cotton Bowl, and nobody was winning it. And the Chiefs moved to Kansas City, where they won a Super Bowl. Of course, the Cowboys with a couple of Super Bowl victories for them. Woody Bennett gets the call. Thanksgiving Day, 12 p.m. Eastern Time. NFL 83 kicks off NBC Sports Week 83. Boy, what a 4-day weekend that is going to be on NBC. We'll be taking a special look at two of the game's greatest players, Franco Harris, former Heisman Trophy winner Billy Sims, and Harrison Sims will lead their teams in an interconference game. The Pittsburgh Steelers taking on the Detroit Lions. Now that becomes important because the Steelers losing today. That's Thanksgiving Day. Start of NBC Sports Week 83. 2-minute warning right now, the whistle. Now we're not going to have it here in the Orange Bowl, but for you at home, here comes another of those fantastic home field advantages as far as the Miami Dolphins are concerned. Because the Dolphins, they've won 81% of their games here in the Orange Bowl since Shula has been the head coach. At Pittsburgh or at the Raiders, if it's that situation in the playoffs, oh, they've got some problems. The percentages really drop off. Overstreet gets the call here.
They have not played well at Three Rivers in Pittsburgh, nor have they played well against the Raiders on the West Coast, Charlie. Here's an update on that Buffalo Raiders score. Matt Kofler with a 23-yard touchdown pass to Tony Hunter. 24-10 Raiders with 8:56 to go in the ball game.
Total offense in this ball game, the Dolphins have more than double that of the Colts. Baltimore with 159 yards total offense. Miami with 394. Third down and 5, 32-yard line, minute 22 left to go and counting. Miami 37 and Baltimore another. Woody Bennett. And as we wind down here, and of course, stay with us when we go to New York, NFL 83, Lynn Berman and crew, they'll be updating the scores, some highlights, then going on to Dallas for that game against the Chiefs. Chance for us to remind you as you look at the clock, the executive producer of NBC Sports is Michael Weissman, our coordinating producer. Ted Nathan's in double duty today for Ted, who's our director here, and today's telecast produced by George Finkel, technical director Jim Johnson, associate director David Hoffman. A lot of people involved, a good crew, a good backup crew here in our booth, and our cameraman and engineer.
Good job.
Kendall Williams set for the punt return of Reggie Roby with a low snap. Oh, he sails one. Hello, Ron Stark. Take that. Into the end zone, through the air, 64 yards. Now that is 64 yards from the line of scrimmage. He's back 7. That's 71, a yard deep. 72 yards in the air. 4.4 seconds hang time.
Right, take that, Ron Stark. It was just something to send the Baltimore Colts off back to Baltimore with. I think Stark is probably the best punter in the National Football League. Roby may be in the next
He may be the best that I've ever seen, including Ray Guy in his younger years.
He may be the best 6th-round draft choice as a punter.
That's true. All right, Baltimore at their own 20-yard line. First and 24. That's first down, 10 yards, but 24 seconds left to go.
Jacoby may be the biggest punter. I was going to say linebacker. He's a linebacker size, about 6'3", 245.
He is big. 245 for a kicker. Curtis Dickey. That should wrap it all up. He has a yard to the 21. You can put this one in the books. Miami's record will be 8-4. Baltimore's record is 6-6. And Buffalo, where they're trailing, remember, they were tied with Miami for the lead. Dolphins should be out in front by a game. Final score is Miami 37 and the Baltimore Colts nothing here in the Orange Bowl. Big weekend to kind of sort things out. Then Berman stated the 6-5 teams and the pressure on them going into today. That is, teams with playoff possibility. Well, the pressure was on today. Miami came through. Now stay tuned for the Budweiser NFL Report.